All right, welcome to the Multifamily Growthcast. This is another Aloha Friday drip. This is Tyler Deveraux here with Jackson Campbell and a little special guest
The
here.
boy.
Dallas
I
Pruitt.
love how you enunciated little special.
Well,
Come on, man.
I got my hair. My hair. I don't have
No,
hair. I
what
got my
up?
chair
I'm
sitting up
excited.
higher than yours.
That's all right. I need to launch
for
that
you?
up a hair. No, I'm so excited that you guys are in town, man. Even though it's snowing and bitter cold, it's extremely exciting to have these guys here in office. So,
Dude, it's freezing.
It's awesome to be here with you, Dal. I mean, once we get together, we always have to grab a episode. But today I wanted to focus on our goals, the goals that we had for the Growthcast. We know where we're at with those goals. We fell short of those goals, but what to do when you fall short of goals.
Love it.
Right? We have a bunch of people that listen to this podcast. This is going to drop New Year's Eve. People are setting new goals, and some people probably failed on their goals last year. I was one of those people. I failed on a few goals that I had. So I want to talk about what do we do when we notice we're going to fail goals? What do we do to kind of recalibrate and kind of put in a strategic approach on setting those goals for the next year that you may have failed the year following? Does that make sense?
yeah.
Failed the year. That's a tongue twister, bro.
It is. Failed the year following. Yes,
awesome,
man.
Awesome. So let's start there.
I love it.
Let's start there. Dal,
Hey, first off, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I hope y'all that are listening out there had just a fantastic Christmas.
Yes.
I also hope that you enjoyed is it a poem?
Yeah,
I call it a poem.
We call it a poem.
A rap.
I mean,
poem?
I would like,
Twas
rap
the night.
sounds cooler, but
it was a remix.
Rap is
If
poetry,
If
so, I
if
mean-
it was a remix. 'Twas the night before Christmas. Remix.
So I hope you enjoyed it.
baby.
My goal for that was to make sure that you enjoyed it, and so I hope I achieved that goal. You let me know, okay? You let me know.
Yes.
Okay, let's dive in.
entertaining.
Okay, so Dal, what was our goals? We came together. What were our goals? What was our
So
goals?
it's interesting. Yeah, I was thinking about this as we started. So Jackson and I, think back, right? December 2020. Apologize.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jeez.
So 2020 December, we're sitting in an office, and we're recording some, I would call them filler episodes for the holiday season, because we're like, man, are people like the people that are listening to the Growthcast, like, should we really launch content during the holidays? And so I remember like putting together this holiday drip, wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, and I don't even remember what our numbers were at the time, but they were small.
Very little. Very low.
And
I didn't even subscribe back then.
yeah,
Whoa.
like
Well,
We didn't have Tyler's support.
I mean,
wow.
Not until I heard your drips that you put out during Christmas, then I was like, okay, I'm surprised.
Yes, they weren't rap worthy, but they were good. They were high quality. No, but dude, our goal then, we set a lofty goal, because that's just who we are, right? Like, we're
Absolutely.
shooting for the moon, and if we hit the stars, great. We're still not going to be satisfied, so we decided, the real deal Holyfield podcaster probably is hitting like 100,000. So that's
Can
what
I
we
have
decided.
a question?
Yeah.
What is farther, the stars or the moon?
That's a great question.
Because maybe that was where
Maybe we
failed.
hit our mark.
We were shooting for the one that was shit.
Yeah, that could have been
close.
it.
First thing we got to study astronomy. Astronomy?
Seriously.
Astronomy?
I love astronomy. Sorry.
So, dude, our moon mark apparently was 100K, and we didn't hit it. I mean, long story short, we're sitting here December 2021, and we did not hit that number from the 1 year mark. However, there's huge wins that we've had. Let me retrace just a second, go back just a hair, because I think this is an important principle. It was probably April, March, sometime in the spring, we realized 100K was probably out of our reach. Probably. I'm gonna reference a specific story that Tyler.
Yep.
Maybe let him tell it.
Inserted.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I recalibrated.
It was 6 months.
Which
in,
is
it was
an
in
important
June.
skill, right? Like recalibrating your goals, making adjustments as you continue to ebb and flow in this growth process is a very, very important tactical skill that all of us need to implement in order to grow at a grand capacity. However, I readjusted and I wanted to set a quote unquote realistic number. And so I decided, let's go here. And Tyler called me up and said, dude, you're looking at this wrong. So what did you tell me?
So I reached out to Dal. So the goal is 100,000. And listen, we start this. We don't know. We've never done a podcast.
We had no idea.
Right?
No
so
idea.
we set it up.
Literally zero experience in launching a podcast. Zero.
But that relates to so much. I mean, dude, people who are starting their multifamily businesses, like what can I do? And really, we don't know what we can do. And setting 100,000, maybe it was achievable well, I know it would be achievable with the right actions, but now we know better actions to take, different things to do. To once again, it's a learning process.
Yeah.
To get 1% better.
Right? I see. I think it was I can't remember what it was, but I saw that we had adjusted, and I reached out to Dal. I was like, "Hey, bro, I just want to talk about this. We're talking about goals, and we set this goal, and then we lowered the goal. That's the learning. We don't lower the goal. What we do is we sit down and we figure out what we can do to hit the goal. What are we not doing to hit the goal? What more can we do? How can we get more creative with the resources that we have, the network that we have, the reach we have, the marketing that we have? Like, it's now getting creative, not to set a lower goal, but to get more strategic to make sure that we pick up the pace over the next 6 months to hit the goal.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And that is a growth mindset, right? I mean, so I took that feedback and, we readjusted in accordance with the proper mentality. Yeah. It was accepting the fact that I was making an error. We talk about error-ridden thinking, and that's why we have a collective group of people like we have. Like we all bleed into the same mentality. We help each other where we fall short to stretch each other. And that yin and yang, we've been using that word a lot lately, but it goes both ways. And so I took that and swallowed it, and we readjusted, and we started to put some things together in terms of actions that we could be taking that we weren't taking.
Yep.
And our numbers have literally like shot through the roof in the last, I would say, 3 months, right? Yep. Like the last quarter, it's been unbelievable to see the exponential growth happen week to week, and those numbers just continue to like compound. Yeah. That compounding effect that happens when you're doing things correctly in terms of a growth mindset, those little things just start to compound, and now it's pretty crazy to see what's happened.
Totally, man. And that is such an important principle, I believe, for anybody to learn, because let's talk about this. Dude, Dallas, you're the mindset guy. And we've talked about this multiple times. Like, nobody, this is why I laugh when people are like, man, I'm just going to do this on my own. Whatever it is that you're trying to do on your own. No, you're not, dude. Not. That's not how growth happens. Why? Because sometimes we need an outside, all the time, we need an outside perspective.
Absolutely.
You guys know this, but we're always looking for feedback, and we're always asking for outside perspectives because we have one limited perspective. And sometimes I believe that very few people actually consciously do something like that.
They're not looking for their blind spots. They're looking to prove them. Like they're looking to be successful in the eyes of other people, or safeguard ourselves, and protect ourselves. And really that's like the brain's job. So you almost have to like combat against that and rewire it so it doesn't go that direction.
Well, think about how quickly it could go down that direction. Oh man, we're not hitting this goal. God, man, I'm going to readjust or whatever. And, oh, man, maybe we're not even now still hitting this goal. And, like, maybe it's because people don't like to listen to us. And maybe it's because everyone else has an unfair advantage that I don't even know about. And that's why. Like, that is a slippery slope in any track. And I see that happen in the multifamily space with, these different students and, new investors that we work with all the time. And it's like, well, no. Your situation isn't unique. Like, we've all went through this growth process, and there's not just some secret hack. Well, yes, there is. Here's the secret hack: catching yourself in error-ridden thinking so you can correct.
Yep. So I don't usually talk about multifamily. I'm the mindset guru, right? Like that's my sector. That's my master space. That's the box that I dance in. Like Kobe Bryant talks about in a lot of what he shares in terms of like find your box, find that thing you're great at. I was great at basketball, and I learned how to dance in that box, and I dance beautifully. And your box is different, So my box obviously is mindset. That's my MO. That's my passion. That's what I've become a master at and continue to work hard every day to continue to master that space. But I've also collective group, right? The individual mentality bleeding into the collective. A byproduct of my decisions and my goals has led me to a collective group of people who I wouldn't have otherwise hit the heights that I have in my life without those people. Yeah. And that also caused me to change my goals or just create new goals. I would say create new goals, additional goals. Yeah. So I reached out to Ty not too long ago. I'm like, hey, dude, like, we talk often. Tyler and I are business partners. We're friends. We're family. I mean, we talk often. Jackson and I talk often. We share a lot of the nitty-gritty details of all the things we're working on because the support, the feedback is crucial, and we hold each other accountable, which is an actionable in and of itself right there. Totally. But I said, hey, dude, like, I invested X in multifamily this year. And he was like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm so happy for you. And we were talking about upping the ante next year and growth. And, well, I haven't even told you this, But talking about a group, right, mentality. So like I was tackling these things as an individual, and I always had this thought. Hopefully, I'm not derailing us too much, but I always had this thought of like, okay, this original thought that I had when I came in was like, okay, I've got this vision. I'm gonna find some partners who want to grow this piece with me on the multifamily side, and I actually planted in my mind who those people were. And I actually learned something through this process. One was I don't get to pick those people prior. If I'm not taking action and I'm not doing, I don't get to choose all those things. Those things come after, right? That's part of that like faith-based principle, which is action. Faith's not just a thought. It's not just a belief. It's doing something. And then by doing something, things come to fruition as a result of the action of doing something. Well, all of a sudden, right before I hit the end of the year, which I had hit my goal in investments. Well, this happened literally last week. 2 guys who I'm super close to, who have been watching, right? My action, not me talking, watching my action, reach out and say, hey man, like we're super interested and we want to create this collective piece. And I said, sweet, well, brain starts rolling. Goals, numbers, metrics, all the things we talk about, the process, right? Strategy. Well, dude, from last week to this week, I doubled my number.
Bro, that's
doubled
awesome.
It. And we have these huge goals for next year in the multifamily space.
Yeah.
And that number went from, I mean, it's just unbelievable. But so just speaking in terms of the truthfulness to these principles that we share, that's what it's all about, man. I mean, the collective and adjusting your goals. But my mentality had shifted. It wasn't like, okay, how can I readjust this number so that I'm safely hitting my number? And you and I talked about this, last week? About get outside your level of competency a little bit, and that's actually where you grow. It's not create a safe number so that you can act in accordance with that competency. The only way you become more competent is to actually like stretch yourself.
Push yourself,
And so, I wasn't happy or satisfied with hitting the number that was a big number. And it opened my brain up to finding other opportunities to not only, surpass that number, but literally double it in a week.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, I love it, man. That's awesome.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
That's
it
so
was
awesome.
awesome, dude.
Dude, that's so awesome.
I was so excited. The person I was most excited to share that with? Yes.
Your wife.
Ryan Woolley.
Oh, yeah, dude, for sure.
Dude, and he gave me a big old hug. I freaking love that guy.
But, dude,
but the reason I say that is because, again, collective support system. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your wins and want them more for you than you even want them for yourself.
Yeah.
And Ryan is that dude. And we have those people in our group, in our community, outside listening to this right now, but here collective in terms of business partnerships, which I view as just, again, that support system, that feedback piece. And it's amazing the things that can come to fruition when you surround yourself with people who not only get that, but want to feed those processes every single day.
Can I just say one thing? Dude, it's so interesting that you say that, because as we were talking about the failures that we had on the Growthcast with our goal, you talk about all these positive things that happened outside of that failure. And that's the question that I wanted to ask. For both of you guys, I want to answer from both of you. What positive things can come out of failure?
I mean, dude, I felt everything. So many positive. I believe that failure is a misunderstood step of success. So many people are trying to go out there and not fail, but in reality, you learn so much more from your failures than you ever will from your successes. You want to know why? Because this is where things get slippery and comfortable. When you are succeeding and you're exceeding those goals, well, this wall behind us says to think bigger. You want to know why? Because that continues to stretch us. Well, if you're really thinking bigger, you're going to fail.
Yep.
That's a fact, dude. If you're not failing, then you're not thinking bigger. So as you're failing, once again, fail. What's the acronym stand for?
Fail.
Yep.
What do you mean?
The acronym fail.
Fail.
Yeah.
You tell me, dude. I am the acronym guy, but I want to hear it from you.
No,
it's life.
No, I know it's life. I know it's life.
But you're talking about the life acronym.
No, I'm not.
You're talking literally like fail has an acronym.
No, I don't know. I'm asking you because he's the
forward.
acronym guy. I was like, dude, if anyone has an acronym for fail, it's this guy right here.
Seriously.
We were in a meeting the other day.
You know what? There is an acronym.
What?
You know who told me this acronym?
Failure. Oh, Brittany.
Do you remember what it is?
Yes.
First attempt in learning.
First attempt in learning. Britt.
Shout out Britt Dev.
Britt, my mindset coach, Britt Dev.
Yes.
Pulling that out of your back pocket. I like that.
So, dude, you have to go out there and do that and fail and to learn and then it's what happens when you fail, though, right? Because it's only truly failure if you quit and you don't learn from it. But when you don't hit the mark, and why I would rather way more shoot for 100,000 than 50,000 is because if you shoot for 100,000 and you're not missing and you're missing the mark, but maybe maybe because you keep it there and you're continually course correcting along the way of ways you can get better and learn from what you've, could have done better. Now you maybe get to 75,000, 90,000.
Yeah.
Instead of setting your goal at 25,000 just to make yourself feel better. Right?
Yeah.
So literally I believe the most growth that we'll ever have as individuals come from failure, man. Come from falling on our face. And
I absolutely agree, dude. I was sharing with Jackson this morning, actually. We walk in and he caught the tail end of the conversation. Ryan and I were in a deep conversation. And I told him, I said, dude, every day, like our office is here in Utah, and there is a huge organization that I used to provide services to, who literally is straight across. We have big glass windows here. And this building, this corporate building, their mecca, their hub for the world. It's a world company. This is not even
company.
just multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
Probably more than that now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Huge.
I used to provide services to a number of their top-tier leaders. And this vision that I had to grow this business of mine and join forces with other businesses and entrepreneur and like-minded people and provide this level of service, they were one of the first people that I attempted to do this with. Did I know enough at the time? No, my level of competency was much lower than what it is now, much lower. But I was willing to fail and figure it out. And I knew that was a crucial part. I didn't understand at the level I know now, but I did have a relationship with that type of process, with failure. I knew what it was, and I knew the service that it provided me in growing my business. And so I look out there, and I instead of like, in terms of entrepreneurial endeavor, I didn't make $1 million working with this company. In fact, I barely broke even.
Yeah.
But what I garnered in experience through those failures, literally every day I look out there, instead of being bitter about that, I am so extremely grateful for all of those people, for that company. And I'm honestly lucky that I get to look at it every single day, because without it, I would not be sitting here in this building doing the work that I do with the people that I love and do it with. No way, no how.
Agreed.
No way, no how.
Agreed, man.
In fact, I literally got some little goosebumps as I was talking about that, just because it means so much to me. Those failures mean so much to me. And, I went through a long period of my life where I wasn't grateful for those things, where I'd get irritated. And we all have been there. Tyler, we were talking about it the other day, right? Yeah. And the shift happened literally within that endeavor. That's when the shift started to happen, because my vision started to grow, where I was like, oh my gosh, look at all these people I'm meeting. Look at all these. I'm literally getting an MBA through hands-on experience. And if I break even, that means I'm not in debt.
Yeah.
That means I didn't go to school and pay the government and everybody else a bunch of money, right? Like, I'm doing this, I'm creating this, and I'm able to extract these lessons from it. And these guys all play a part, whether it's madly successful in terms of finances or not. Like, it's powerful.
So the reason why I wanted to ask that question is because I think it's so important to view how you two very successful entrepreneurs, very successful in your guys' own lanes, view failure. A lot of times people view failure as, I'm not good enough, I can't do
and
this.
You're not good enough. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's just call a spade a spade. If you're failing,
right,
you're not good enough in that moment. That's the fucking point.
Right.
That's where you have to course correct,
but
find out.
Most people stay on that, right?
Yes.
Most people stay on that. And that's what I wanted to point out.
Hold up. Most people allow that to devalue who they are as a person.
Right.
And that's the problem. It's not that you aren't good enough.
Right.
If you're looking to the reality of the situation in terms of your actions and what you need to be producing, you are not good enough. But that does not devalue who you are and your potential.
Yeah. You're not good enough right now.
That is important to remember.
You're not good enough right now. That's the point of growth. It literally, obviously, you can tell I get passionate about that, because people are not good enough at that point. That's why you're failing. But that learning from that is where you get to the point where you continue to grow and move. And I'll tell you where that switched for me was multifamily, I believe, was a huge aspect for me. And Jeremy was my first mentor in the multifamily space. So Jeremy, if you're listening to this, I love you, my dude. And he got me in just loving the process. You talk about the process and loving the process, and we all talk about this all the time, but I fell in love with the process. But you know why I fell in love with the process? Because I had this big, lofty goal, right? This definite major purpose of I wanted to spend time with family. I wanted to be able to provide for my family in all aspects. I wanted to be able to give back and be in a position to help other people and be like, but dude, I was nowhere near that. But all of a sudden I learned about multifamily, and it gives me this hope. Before I ever acquired a multifamily property, the hope that multifamily provided me was huge, man. It was absolutely huge for me. And so all of a sudden I fell in love with this process, and I would go, fall on my face in an investor call and literally just look like an idiot. Just look so dumb and get off that call and be like, oh my God, freeze. When I see them out if I see them out and about, I'm going to be mortified. Thank goodness they live in Connecticut. Holy shit.
Because you're not going to Connecticut.
Can I tell a little secret there too, though, about those people in Connecticut?
Yeah, sure.
Did they really care in terms of you, like as much as you thought they did?
No. What I learned, and
99 point whatever percent of the time, you are completely off base with that perspective.
Yep.
Completely off base.
so perspective, right? And to look at it and to truly understand, they probably didn't think twice about it afterwards.
They probably
and
don't even remember your name. Not because you did bad, but because it doesn't matter.
on.
Yeah, because they're moving towards something else, right?
Yeah.
But if you can take your perspective, you can learn from that and understand that even if they said no to an investment or a broker pass you up on a deal or whatever it is, right? Dating, somebody says no, whatever, right? That could be no, not right now. That could be, hey, maybe that's the best thing for you, man. It's not a fit, Like just literally take a different perspective, fall in love with the process. And what's funny, I set these big goals, but I'll set those goals. And whenever I extend these goals, you know this about me.
Yeah.
And Alex, you know this about me because you just read through this, but I'll do these 5-year stories. And I'll do these 5-year stories and I'll literally tell the story from 5 years back, right? And hey, this is where I was and this is what happened and this is how I got here. So projecting into the future and then reverse engineering it from there. I'll tell that story, I'll record that story, I'll listen to that story for probably at least a month, maybe more. And then it's in there. Then it's in there.
I got an actionable, if that's cool, Jax.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That ties perfectly into this. I love that it went this direction. The process pyramid is something I drafted up a long time ago. It's actually like everything the journaling system's built upon is this process pyramid, the process, right? We talk about the process. Well, let's give it more context. Let's give it more body. Let's give it more volume because we can't talk about these things at surface level because if you just stay at the surface, it just doesn't work, right? So Tyler talked about a couple things. Let me give you the actionables, literally like word for word from his mouth from the story that he just told. He writes a 5-year story, right? That is all leading to what's the most important piece of your life?
Family.
Purpose.
Yep, yeah.
Right?
Yep,
Your definite major purpose. So right underneath that part of the pyramid, at the very top of the pyramid is purpose. Underneath that, he tells his 5-year story. That is vision. He creates the vision for his life for the next 5 years, breaks it up into chunks, and then he reverse engineers it. Well, the only way you're going to get to that vision and have it come to fruition is if you set specific goals that are measurable with deadlines and all these things. And then if you've done all that, you've done all the groundwork, built the foundation correctly, now all your focus just comes into systems, the actions, fine-tuning the actions that actually produce that. And you're not focused on that stuff anymore. That stuff is honestly ingrained into your DNA. When you do it correctly, you don't have to think about it because it literally dictates every single thing you do, your focus, every single day. When you do that correctly, and then by default, you get better at fine-tuning that bottom part of the pyramid, and you just keep going through that process till get you to the top.
That's it, man. It's thinking. So once again, you tell that story, and then you listen to it. It's in there. It's ingrained in you. You know what you're working towards, but then you take it and you shrink it down into what you need to be doing right now. I have this long-term hope, right? This long-term vision, but if I continue to focus on that, sometimes you're 5 years. Sometimes you're so far away from that it's like good.
Makes the nose feel catastrophic. It makes them feel crippling.
Like you're never going to get there. And so you set it in there, you know where you're working towards, but then you take these small little actions today, and that's what you focus on. And then what happens? Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you start checking things off the list, and now you're like, holy shit, this is
Stacking dubs, baby.
Yeah, I'm making progress. I'm making progress. And that 5-year story that I wrote a year ago, literally almost everything on that has already been accomplished, and that was a year. And when I did that a year ago, you know this, how I wrote that 5-year story for a reason. It's because
it's lofty.
I was intimidated, and I was like, I knew that like I was nervous,
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to do these things, but like, is it really possible? But that principle that you just talked about, this action principle of putting out this big vision and then breaking it down to the actionables, you'll be baffled. You'll be baffled at how quickly you make progress from there.
Yeah. Just to kind of tie it in with obviously this episode's going to drop on New Year's Eve, setting a goal and breaking it down, right? You guys are talking about your definite major purpose and breaking it down, and that's a bigger process. As you break it down, you're going to have little goals in between that you're going to need to break down and use that same exact process for.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the more actionables, as you're setting your goals for this upcoming year, that's how you set a goal. Set a goal and then break it down to actionable daily items. And dude,
Define your purpose.
Yeah. And then
Create your vision.
Right.
Then set the goal. And you can set goals prior, dude.
Right.
But I'm telling you, if you want to amplify the work you're doing, define your freaking purpose. And there's lots of people that listen that haven't even done that. And it complicates all those other stages of the process because you don't really, like your ultimate aim, you don't really know where you're going. So other people start to dictate your goals. You listen too much to other people.
Yeah.
You start to look at things that are incorrect in terms of defining those goals. And yeah, you might create some goals and you might hit them and you might be successful in hitting those goals. But what are those goals amounting to in the end game? Like how do those things stack up with the upper tier of that pyramid? Because if you really want to grow at a rapid pace, those are the most crucial parts to define.
Okay, but here's why, man. Most people might even set a year goal, but then so they set this year goal, or maybe they even set a definite major purpose. But now they get stuck into but how in the world do I make that possible? Well, you have zero idea. If you're truly, once again, thinking bigger, you have zero idea how to make it possible. Because it's going to take shifts, turns, pivots, moves, whatever. That's why you have to break it down. Now you go down from 5 years to 3 years to 1 year to quarterly to then right now, this week, this month, this day, this hour, whatever. You start breaking it down that way and focus on these action steps and then checking in regularly to see how the progress is going. That's how you start. You take these big, lofty, huge goals that scare the shit out of you and you freaking blow past them in way less time. So.
Yeah, decision making at that point becomes so much simpler.
Yeah.
And really that's like, and then throw it back to Jack's.
Way easier.
Simplification. Easy. People are looking for the easy route. And we were literally talking about this in a meeting yesterday with Sharon and Shay and Joe. And you got to be careful with the word easy. Yep. Everybody wants easy. We're not about the business of easy. Nobody should be about the business of easy. Simplification, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
But do you know what? Simplification is hard.
Yep.
To simplify is hard, man. If our only job was just to create content, like I look at like our curriculums, like our learning curriculums on the mindset side, on the multifamily side, we could do that. That's easy. Yeah. But it's taking actionable content and shrinking it down into these bite-sized steps that are that's harder to do. So one of the things you said, a lot of people don't even set their purpose. You want to know why? Because it's hard to do that. It's literally hard to sit down and like really think about what drives you, and then to take the time to truly, clearly define your goals. Yes. Do you remember how long I did it last year? Were
you were like out for a day?
More. Two, I think maybe even 3 days, literally, that I shut out everything. Yeah. And I only did that. That's it. And then listen, it's very easy for somebody on the outside. And it was very easy for me on the inside to be like, shit, dude, should I be doing this? Yeah. Or should I be focused on like my word, Because a lot of that process is spinning your wheels. Yeah. Because you're trying to figure out where you want to go. But doing that, pointing it back to what you said earlier, when you do that and you define it and you take the time, God, it makes decision making so much easier, because if something comes across your path that's going to help you get to this here, you dive in full force. And if it's not, well, then you don't do it, period. You want to know one of the quickest, we talk about improving our inner circle. You want to know one of the quickest ways to improve your inner circle? Talk about what your goals are. Talk about what these big, lofty, scary goals are. If people are like, well, you are a dipshit, not possible, whatever, well, then you know that you need to enhance your circle.
Yeah, absolutely. That's hard to do.
It is hard to do.
But you will quickly identify who's in your inner circle and who's not, and stay close to those that are, And back to the no and yes thing in decision making, it's that hell yeah, hell no principle. I don't even remember who it was. I talked about it a number of weeks ago on a drip, but literally, like, the second something gets thrown on your table or you design something up, if that reaction is hell yeah, because you've done all that proper work or prior work necessary,
this was a drip.
Dude, you jump on it. Mm-hmm. If it's hell no, I mean, at that point, you're literally like emphatic about your yeses and you're extremely emphatic about your nos. Mm-hmm. And it makes your life so much more fulfilling. We talk about the word fulfillment. It makes your life so much more fulfilling, and it makes your life so much more successful, and it makes your life so much happier by being able to master literally the simple process of just making better decisions.
It's because your decisions are already made. Is it helping you get to the goal? Then do it. If it's not, then you're not doing it.
Yep.
But
It's
now
already
like,
made.
Yeah, but are you honoring those self-promises? Because
Yeah.
here's this sneaky little thing, okay? You set this goal. You know that it's in line. Dude, look at the education company, Multifamily Mindset. I mean, one of my definite major purposes, something that just brings huge joy to my life, is like being in a position to help other people. You know, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to make an impact. I want to help people, you know? And I knew that this would help me do that, but that doesn't make it easy. And so what do? I toil over this decision. I'm like, well, man, I don't know. What if I fail? What if what if no one wants to, no one cares? Whatever, you know? And then all of a sudden this sneaky little fear starts coming in, and fear will move you back to comfort all day.
Yep.
All day.
That's what it wants you to do.
But that's why it's so important, once again, to define it and then to check in, catch yourself in error and thinking, catch yourself and be like, okay, not is it possible, not does this scare the shit out of me, because it should. That's not where I make my decisions. Move that aside. Does this have the potential to get me here to where I'm going? And if so, then I don't give a shit if it scares me to death, because guess what scares me more than that? Not getting here. You know what I mean? That's terrifying to me.
And not staying true to a decision you've already made.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
good too.
You guys, thank you so much. So much good content, so many things you guys have shared. I've enjoyed listening. Honestly, this has been one that I've just been able to listen to you guys wax poetic, and it's some really great actionables given by Dallas, and just powerful, powerful principles. As we wrap up here, Ty, it is an Aloha Friday episode, so I do want to give you the opportunity to do your Hawaiian value.
I love it.
What do we got? What do we got for this week?
I pulled one up today for the Aloha value, which was ho'ohana, which means to do meaningful work. I'll read what this says here. Ho'ohana is the value of purposeful and meaningful work. So listen to that. Ho'ohana is the value of purposeful and meaningful work. Okay, so when we work towards something with intention, it provides a feeling of satisfaction and purpose that nothing else can. And think about when I talked about setting these definite major purposes and the hope, for an example, that multifamily brought. Why did I fall in love with the process? Because I knew that it was going to get me to where I was going. And I knew. And you know what, I continued, even if I was doubting or fearful, I continued to tell myself that I knew that it was going to get me to where I was going, because I knew that it could. I knew I had the potential. And when you do that and you're working towards something meaningful, dude, it's a lot easier to do hard things.
Yep.
But when you're working towards something that, I believe most people do a lot of hard things. They just do a lot of hard things that don't have any purpose behind them. You want to know why? Because somehow that makes it more comfortable for them.
And that makes life harder.
It does.
It's already going to be hard.
And
Don't make it harder.
every stage of the process, you're going to catch yourself in it.
Yeah.
We all catch ourselves in it, man. I mean, it's every stage of the process. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with people who help you think bigger, man. Like Ryan Woolley. Like a Todd Miller, like a Dallas Pruitt, like a Jackson, dude, all these people, man. Surround yourself with people that love you for who you are. That's awesome. But man, they also know who you can become and who you want to become and how much joy that will bring. And they're going to push you to be better, do better, try new things, all those kind of things. So,
Awesome.
Ohana, do meaningful work.
Awesome. Give us your send off.
Happy New Year. Shit.
Yes, Happy New Year's.
Yes, have a freaking great New
Yes.
Year. Go kick 2020 right in the freaking D, okay? Just let's freaking
That's a
kill
great
it, dude. But also, live always with aloha. Peace.